What's up, everybody? Welcome to FoundFlix. On this evening explained, we're looking at Bring Her Back, where brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. I gotta be honest, I really didn't like this movie at all, but if I only covered movies I like, I would never come out with videos, and a ton of y'all asked for it, so here we are. Now, let me clarify, it's not a bad movie. It just wasn't for me. The movie is just bleak, miserable, and straight up depressing the entire time. I don't have a problem with bummer movies. It's really more the script and how the story comes together that did not work for me. Regardless of my feelings, I will do my duty to dive in and put together what is there. So let's check out Bring Her Back, breaking down the story, including what we learned about the ritual, as well as explaining the downer ending. We initially see fleeting glimpses of the mysterious, convoluted ritual used to bring her back. There's a baby on a roof with the word cult written in something. A woman tapes the ritual, speaking in Russian. A girl stares up, contained within a chalk circle. A portly gentleman places a hand upon her head. There's another person lying dead under a sheet. While in the back, the others lift someone up by a noose. The other girl continues staring up, glazed over. We'll get a lot more detail on what the heck is going on there later. Next, we meet the mostly blind Piper and her doting stepbrother Andy. She chats with some girls, and it's a bit awkward. He swoops in, and she could tell that they didn't like her. He sees them making fun of her and softens the blow by fibbing a bit. Yeah, they seem really nice. Clearly, he sees himself as her protector. And what's wrong with a little white lie to spare her feelings? Well, see about that. At home, things take a sudden tragic turn when Piper shouts for Andy. Their dad isn't responding. He pops the lock with a butter knife, and they discover their dad dead on the bathroom floor. Piper shrieks to know what's happening, and Andy is overwhelmed. She touches the body for herself and loses it. It does appear to have simply been an accident, but dad also had cancer, mentioning the chemo was supposed to be helping. With the CPS lady Wendy, she intends to split the siblings apart. They're taken aback, especially Andy. He has to take care of her and wants to apply for guardianship when he turns 18 in a few months. Wendy mentions the lady Laura has had issues with some troubled kids in the past. She gives a glare over to Andy, who stays mum, understanding that he's had some troubles in his youth. Grapefruit, she says, which is their kind of safe word, and he admits to something when he was 8. They plead to talk with Laura to not split them up. Wendy is willing to do so as long as he promises to behave for the next 3 months. Movers work to empty the house, and Piper hides under the bed. Andy joins her and notes a plane flying overhead. That's Dad going to heaven, he tells her. Shut up, she groans. Seriously, he goes on, that's what happens when you die. You don't get burned or buried, you just catch a plane. Piper is annoyed. He doesn't have to make everything nice for her. The room still smells of their father, and she takes one of his pillows that still bears his scent. They are allowed to stay together after all, and arrive at their new home, already noticing a quite obvious circle surrounding the perimeter. There must be some kind of ritual as seen on the tape already in action going on here. Australia's own Empire of the Sun blasts from inside, and Laura shouts to let themselves in. Right off the bat, Laura has her eye on Piper specifically, beaming. She's so excited to meet her. As for Andy, not so much. Who's this guy? They take a selfie, and Laura purposefully blocks Andy in the shot, making her intentions a little too obvious. I really do feel like they played their hand way too early here with Laura. We instantly get that she doesn't like Andy and is much more focused on Piper, because pretty much all Laura does is mess with Andy the entire time to force a wedge between him and his sister. That's the entire movie pretty much. We also get that Laura has some issues, yeah, but specifically about letting things go. She introduces them to Pom Pom, her taxidermy dog out on display. Okay then, the picture becomes even clearer when Andy notices tape on the carpet. Is that for Piper? No, it was for her also blind daughter Kathy that drowned. Oh, how convenient! Now we know the exact deal here. Laura's plan is to use Piper to bring her daughter back. I mean, it's right there in the title. There's also another odd mute child that lives in the house, Ollie. He's first seen down in an empty pool messing with a cat and has an odd bruise on his eye, just like the kid in the video. Laura plays pretend with her new family, marking their heights on the wall, also seeing some prior ones for Kathy. She explains that Ollie lost his family too and needs special care. Ever since they lost Kathy, he's been muted. cute. Piper is curious about the boy's appearance, and Andy lies that he's cute and smiling at her. She asks about his hair color, and Laura joins in. It's red and curly too. He's a beautiful boy, she claims. Sure, kid's a weirdo. Laura shows them to the rooms, well, Piper at least, and Andy makes sure that she's okay with a grapefruit. His room is substantially worse, with a folding door that won't even close. So much for privacy. Although Laura doesn't seem much for that either, she brings up him applying for guardianship, so make sure that he stays safe and reliable. Piper can hear them through the wall, and already Laura has snatched his phone to see who he was texting with. He takes it away, and she incredibly overreacts. So Ollie is a weirdo, she reads. He tries to stammer no, but Laura leaves upset. Again, we can really already see where this is going. She's going to gaslight him into losing his shit so he won't be able to do the guardianship thing. Okay, 2 more hours to go. Piper gets settled into what is obviously Kathy's former room, the decor completely unchanged. And Laura watches eerily over her the whole time. Definitely not creepy at all. There is clearly something off with this lady. It appears that she learned of this ritual via a VHS tape from the very same group from the beginning, now seeing what that lady was shooting. The image statics on to a woman crying and gasping. There's a clear chalk outline on the ground, along with a website address on the screen. Now, as for where this tape came from or how she found it in the first place, that's anyone's guess. Even with a web address, the tape must have made its way online and then was transferred back to tape? No idea, and they don't bother elaborating at all. Later, Andy struggles to get comfortable in the janky-ass bed. He's roused by a light clicking on, seeing Laura and Ollie heading out to his shed in the yard. So, must be something important in there. It appears there's also something important about the pool. Laura patches up some spots on the surface. She sits on the side, seeing that some rainwater has begun collecting, and more is on the way soon. Andy comes to in the morning, and it appears that he has wet himself. He sticks his pants in the wash and tries to face his newfound fear of the shower. He's brought back to that moment of finding his dad, hearing Piper's voice, and then her attempting to give him mouth-to-mouth. At his funeral, Andy cannot even look at him, his eyes transfixed on the ceiling. He fibs again to Piper, saying he looks good. Grapefruit? She double checks, and he insists that he looks good. After the ceremony, Laura is by the coffin on her own. She pulls out some scissors and snips a lock of their dad's hair. For some reason, the kids see a plane flying above, remembering what he said earlier, and Piper folds into his arms. Laura comes out and targets Andy. She won't let him leave without saying goodbye. Piper is confused, but he said differently, and even said grapefruit, but he still lied. Laura says that according to some beliefs, the spirit stays in the body for months after death. If that's true, he's still in there. At home, Junk Man wanders around and hears thuds at a door. It's Ollie banging aggressively on the glass, and he shatters it with another punch. His hand profusely bleeding, he stumbles out to that shed. He punches at the locked door, but cannot get in. There's something else that catches his eye, the chicken coop, just waiting to be gobbled up. Kid's hungry. She forces him back to his dad's body, remarking he's so peaceful. Yep, and he gulps. She whispers to kiss him goodbye, and he refuses, in spite of her insisting it's a custom. After a bit more hesitation, he gives him a little peck on the forehead. She ups the ante, planting him one right on the lips. Okay, weirdo, don't even know this guy. Definitely a strange thing to do. After the gang is down, and Laura won't have it. They shouldn't be sad. This should be a celebration. What do they do for fun? And he says getting hammered, and surprisingly, she agrees to do so. They party on inside, while Ollie looks on through the window, left out from the family as usual. Leave that kid outside all day. Oblivious, the others play a shot drinking game, even involving Piper taking a few. Andy is a bit unsure, but caves to let her drink. The trio enjoys some alcohol-fueled hijinks, dancing around and singing to Dad's song. Later, Piper is passed out and things turn more serious, Laura asking if he wants to talk about him. Andy is still struggling to discuss it directly, and she has an idea. They can sit in chairs facing away from each other. They do so, and he wants to know about her grief. How did she get over losing Kathy? Laura admits that she didn't. She could barely bring herself to leave the cemetery. It felt like she was abandoning her. She holds back tears. She'd give anything to hear her call her mom just one more time. That's all she truly wants. Then it's Andy's turn, and Laura goes for the jugular. Was Piper the favorite? He chuckles, how couldn't she be? And Laura broaches the big secret. Is that why you hit her? It was Wendy that revealed this to her, remembering that incident when he was 8. Well, was it jealousy? He sighs, feeling that that when his dad married her mom, it felt like he had found his real family he actually wanted. Andy would get into trouble all the time just to get attention. This only led to more abuse, his dad turning on the shower to cover the strikes. But as for Piper, he never touched her once. Laura feigns sympathy. "That's awful," she coos. Only for later that night, she continues her psychological torture. She relieves herself into a pitcher and pours it right on Andy to convince him that he's having bedwetting issues. Pretty messed up. She next goes to his phone, unlocking it and then deleting photos of Ollie and the dog. Any kind of evidence that could potentially be used against her. Junkman is heard howling again, and Ollie has him again down in the empty pool. She brings him inside and gives him a bath, asking him to be patient. She knows he's hungry, you just have to wait a little longer. Something is using the boy as a vessel, but she is unsure at this point the ritual is working. "How can I be sure that you're in there if I can't see you?" The pipes rumble and a faucet turns itself on, the cat continuing to raspily growl. Laura looks into the mirror, seeing Ollie with red demonic eyes howling. The glass shatters, terrifying her. Yeah, well, maybe don't meddle with evil, usually has consequences. Also getting a brief look at the obvious demon's true form. In the morning, Andy appears to have had an accident and rushes to do his laundry, only to find Laura and his sister already at the machine. He attempts to hide it, but Laura immediately points it out, Piper chuckling. Andy is ashamed, and Laura tells him to at least try to take a shower. She continues her plan with Piper, telling her that Andy isn't doing well, and he became aggressive last night. Andy tries to take a shower, but as soon as entering the bathroom, sees his dad in there. He tries to shed in the back, but the door is locked tight, so he settles on washing himself in a faucet outside. He notices Ollie up in the window, who smashes a fly and gratefully munches it. Worried about him, Andy finds his door locked, which he easily picks with a knife. He decides to give him something to eat, but tries to make him a bargain. "You'll get some fruit if you write some answers on the notepad." Idiotically, Andy hands him the melon along with the massive knife still attached to it. He turns to get him a plate, and by the time he turns back, Ollie has chomped down on the knife. It's pretty bad, and Andy tries to get him out of the house past the chalk perimeter. He drags him over the line, and the boy starts screaming and shuddering as though he's dying. He lifts his shirt up, seeing something distinctly moving within his skin. "Help me," he cries. Just then Laura and Piper pull up, and she shoves Andy away, taking the boy inside. She returns to the tape, seeing someone doing the same thing as Ollie, crossing the barrier and going berserk. It seems that he is snapping out of his trance, grumbling, "What's he doing here, and who are you?" Laura cranks the music to drown him out and follows the tape's instructions, running a circle with her finger on his forehead. She keeps circling and circling and appears to hold whatever is within Ollie at bay for now. She briefly stomps out, pissed off at Andy for breaking into her room. She snatches Piper and slams the door, leaving him alone. Piper is worried, and Laura is sure Ollie is gonna be fine, and proceeds to feed them their dad's hair. And he faces his adversary in the shower once more, and this time at least allows himself to get wet. Then there's some rattling at the door and it unlocks, and he turns back, seeing a figure in the fog. He gets closer, and it's his dad. "Rain," he grumbles, "she'll die in the rain." He moves on, repeating rain, and Andy calls for his dad, seeing that he has those red demon eyes. Andy goes to run and slips, landing right on his head just like his dad did. He looms over him on the floor and leans in, making odd chittering noises. Obviously it's the hair that made the dad appear, but is it Ollie physically in his form, or and if it was Laura behind it, it doesn't really make sense since he warns him about the rain. So what's the point here other than injuring Andy, which how would she even know that would happen? Andy gasps awake in the hospital, and the doctors attempt to calm him down. It's no use, as he hears rain pattering outside and shrieks, "He's got to get home, she's gonna die." The rain is really coming down now, seeing a pipe feeding into the pool, and the water level is beginning to rise a bit. Knowing the time is coming soon, Laura reminisces with another VHS, this time featuring Kathy. Piper comes in concerned about her brother, and Laura warmly wraps in her arms. "Is that her?" Piper asks. "Yep, Kathy loved the rain, the sound, and the smells." She describes her and gets emotional, croaking, "God, she's beautiful." On the tape, we hear Laura call for all of her, but this kid actually has red hair. "Okay, Auntie Laura," he replies. So this kid is actually her nephew, and the other boy is someone else entirely. Laura visits Andy in the hospital, and it's still pouring down. She tells him they need to check if his brain is okay. He wants to know about Piper, and she has a present from her, his special flavor of body spray. Andy is steadfast. "You can't let Piper out while it's raining. She'll die in the rain." Laura pokes holes into his vision. "Well, maybe you're just getting confused because his dad died in the shower when I killed him." Yes, she specifically says, "I killed him." Once more, obviously just to fuck with Andy. It seems to be working, and Andy cries, "What is happening to me?" She assures him there's nothing to worry about and promises to keep Piper indoors, only to immediately usher right outside into the storm, frolicking and cavorting all over the place right around the pool. The line blurs further for Laura between Piper and her daughter, flashing between the tape and Piper now. She brings her out to this secret shack and bestows her one of Kathy's sweaters, now really seeing her as her lost kid. Laura is hopeful. You can call me Mom if you like, and Piper chuckles, maybe. She takes the next step in her plan here and invites her to stay rather than go on with Andy. Piper keeps her at arm's length though. Well, they can at least come and visit on the weekends. Ollie stumbles in and starts rummaging through the stuff. Laura tells him not yet and has something else to show Piper. She brings her hand to a frosty body in the freezer. Of course, it's her daughter's, meaning that Laura had to actually dig her up and bring her here where she's been on ice for a couple of months. Wowee, that is pretty unhinged. And also, somehow no one looked into her digging the body up in the first place. Strange. Just no big deal, her body went missing. Oh, did you check in the shed where she keeps the freezer? Why would you look in there? Andy is let out of the hospital to Laura's annoyance. He has a psychotic break and they just let him go. He does his weights and feels that he's been cut out of the family once again. With Ollie, his eyes are now fully overtaken with red. They watch the ritual tape, which has convenient to follow step-by-step instructions. Mimic the death, it instructs, then consume the old body, enough to hold the soul. A lady crawls on to someone and proceeds to feast upon the flesh, purging the soul into the new body. The other girl then sputters to life, resurrected. The man sobs, happily reunited with his loved one. See, easy peasy, just a few steps, really barely an inconvenience. She takes her scheme with Andy to the next level, hosing herself down in his body spray. She sneaks in on a sleeping Piper and sucker punches her in the face before fleeing. Naturally, Laura is accusatory towards Andy, showing off a pretty bad black eye. Even Piper believes that it must have been him. She could smell his body spray. Laura spits that he's abusive just like his dad. He hit him, so now he hits her. Piper didn't know about all that, and he lies that her dad didn't hit him. Attempting to get evidence, Andy starts snapping shots of Ollie, all messed up looking. She wrestles the phone away and falls to the ground with extra dramatic flair. All for show. He does nearly lose himself and punches a hole in the wall right next to her noggin. Piper pleads to stop. Please, Andy. He tries to get his sis to leave with him right now. Grapefruit pipe. But it's too late. She backs into Laura's grip. Her plan to divide them up went swimmingly. He goes to try and get Wendy's help and notices a poster for Connor Bird. Obviously Ollie. Well, add kidnapping to the list. Unsurprisingly, Laura has already been feeding her own version of the story to Wendy, and she doesn't believe Andy's accusations. He is baffled. Don't they do any kind of checks before fostering? Wendy grumbles that Lori's worked here nearly 20 years. She was the best counselor they've ever had, and she's adamant Laura would never harm a child. Another big ol' wow of disbelief here. They obviously need to update whatever checks they are doing because Wendy has failed miserably. I guess Laura really did just completely snap when Kathy died, totally normal, and then click, bonkers. I still wonder what happened to Kathy's dad too, never even mentioned. Convenient. Ollie's hunger is more severe than ever. The house now in complete shambles. He's also more demonic in appearance than ever, and Laura stops him. No, not just yet. He's fed up and chomps off a big bite of her arm. She flees and locks herself in a room. Ollie pounds on the door and strangely imitates her voice. Neat little talent there. We learn that Connor went missing a fortnight ago, and based on the dates we do have throughout, we can piece together that it's only been a few months since Kathy died. There's absolutely no way she would have been approved to do fostering that quickly. It's honestly insane. Andy notes that she calls him Ollie, and that again is her actual nephew as seen in the video. She goes to call Laura, and Andy stops her, begging to take her to the house instead. Poor Ollie's gotta eat something, and bites down on the counter, tearing his teeth to smithereens. He samples some flesh and peels it off like slabs of bacon. Yummy. Ollie is back out at the pool, and Laura draws a circle in blood on the window that seems to calm him down again. She knows she can't hold him off any longer and brings him to the shed. It's time for him to consume Kathy's body and spirit. Barreling to the house, Andy pours his heart out in a message to his sister. He spills all about the truth. Their dad did beat him up, but never when she was around. He only lied to protect her from the ugliness of the world. He also did hit her once when he was 8, but regretted it more than anything in his entire life. That bruise now was not him. It was Laura. She's bad. I love you, he sobs. Grapefruit. Wendy pipes up, comforting that they are gonna sort this all out. Of course, Laura has Piper's phone and hears the entire message, so she scrambles to get the place cleaned up, which would take countless hours to do, but okay. Wendy tells Andy to wait behind at the house. They gotta make sure that he's telling the truth. Laura takes Wendy through the place and nearly gets caught by a shattered mirror. Luckily, Wendy doesn't check very thoroughly. Again, you're failing these children. Andy goes right for the shed and bashes the door off, getting to see the feasting for himself. About to get away with it, Wendy notices her bleeding arm. Andy then shouts for her, and Laura pleads to not go out there. She's doing something for Kathy. She tells her about the ritual and everything. She didn't think that it was working, but now it really is. Ollie is gonna bring her back. Wendy gets free and sees what's in the shed. That's enough for them to hightail it out of there. About to get to their car, another comes out of nowhere, plowing right into the pair. Wendy is already gone, but Andy is hanging on, beat up and wheezing. Laura shoves Andy's face into a puddle, cooing, "You're okay." He lets out several muffled grunts before drowning. Big fan of Glass or something? This moment made me completely check out of the movie. It's just absolute misery and torture for this kid the entire movie, and then he gets drowned in a fucking puddle. What a complete waste. Conveniently, Piper was at practice and missed that whole fiasco. Wendy's phone starts ringing and Laura attends with that. Meanwhile, Ollie imitates her brother's voice, luring her to him. She reaches out and feels the wounds and stuff all over his face. Laura pops in, "Oh, that's just Ollie." And Andy, he's downstairs, here to apologize. She asks about Ollie's hair, and when she still says that it's red and curly, Piper knows something is up. An object shatters and she makes a run for it, hiding in the bathroom. There she finds Andy's corpse, knowing that it's him by the braces. "Grapefruit," she shrieks, trying in vain to revive him. Laura continues to play innocent. "Oh, he had an accident." But she decides to reveal her purpose here. She's spoken with an angel that does beautiful things. She put the angel inside Ollie, and now he's gonna put Kathy inside her. "You're just like her, just as incredible and just as perfect." Piper asks what she's going to do with her, and well, she's gonna drown her in the pool. Piper tosses something and runs off, only to barrel right into a wall, knocking her out. So much for that. Laura drags her body outside, and Ollie is already there with a quite large tummy full of Kathy's soul. He hobbles down into the water along with Piper and Laura. Laura looks up, seeing her daughter, and then dunks Piper under the surface. Ollie leans and growls, something moving within his throat. She keeps Piper under, and she slashes her face. "Mom!" she shrieks, and Laura hears Kathy saying the same. As she said earlier, all she wanted was to hear her call her mom just one more time. This moment breaks Laura down, taking her into a hug. Piper pulls away, losing Kathy's sweater, and climbs right out of the pool. It's as though Laura snapped out of her madness here. She shouts apologies after, and she does just let her leave after all that. Okay. Ollie isn't looking so good though, and collapses into croaks and groans. He starts hacking and rushes up dark liquid, seeming that was the Kathy within him, I guess. Piper makes it out to a road, and luckily a car happens to be pulling up. Ollie watches on, seeing his own missing poster, and the chalk line is right there. Laura knows that her plan is foiled, and attempts to feed Kathy from her wound to no effect. Piper did get a lift, and only now gets to listen to her brother's heartbreaking message. "I love you, Pipe. Grapefruit," he concludes. Just then, an airplane passes overhead, which is supposed to be him moving on or whatever. I'm still bitter, honestly. Eventually, cops get to Laura's and find Ollie still alive. It does seem that the demon or angel guy has left him. He speaks in his normal voice and knows his name, Connor Bird. Laura is all alone now with Kathy's corpse floating in the pool. Police lights break the darkness and soon surround them. Officers wade into the waters towards her, and hopefully Laura actually gets the help she needs. Yeah, at this point, based on what she's done, she should be in jail, but ultimately it's her grief that caused all this insanity in the first place. So, yeah, hopefully deal with your trauma and your grief first before you start, consulting Russian weirdo websites and their VHS tapes about how to use rituals to bring your daughter back in their own little pool. That'll wrap it up for this ending explained for Bring Her Back. If there's anything else you'd like to see me cover, shoot me a message or leave me a comment down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.